It's a beautiful day for baseball. And live from AT&T Park in San Francisco, Sportsnet LA presents the Los Angeles Dodgers and the San Francisco Giants. And for the Dodgers, their final road game of the regular season. This afternoon in Philadelphia, the Phillies shut out the Mets. So as you see, the Dodgers and the Mets right now are all even in the loss column. Dodgers have 4 games left to play. They return home to play the Padres over the weekend. The Mets will go home to New York to play the Nationals. They've also got a hurricane coming into New York. No such issues for us here in San Francisco. Hi again, everybody. Charlie Steiner and Oral Hershiser. So the Dodgers with 4 games left. Brett Anderson's going to make a career-high 30-second start today in search of his 10th win. A lot riding on this start for him.
It is. You know, the Dodgers are trying to catch the Mets and have that home field advantage. Brett Anderson trying to pencil himself into this Game 3 against the Mets. And I really believe that there's a competition here with Alex Wood and maybe even Carlos Frias. But I don't think Carlos is in as far as a starter, but as far as the long man. But these two are going head-to-head, I think, the next couple days. Dodgers hope to win both games, hope both guys are sharp, and then they can make a decision on who will be the third starter.
And Kike Hernandez in the lineup again today, batting 8th and starting in center field.
He has really taken over the center field job from Jock Peterson, and I'll tell you what, Kike came back off the DL with tremendous energy. We know he can play defense in multiple positions, but he's probably going to be in center field mostly, but the bat is electric, and he has really become the spark plug for this Dodger offense. Today hitting 8th because there's a righty on the mound with a lefty probably be leading off, but he shows power and speed, and he really can make this team go.
So Brett Anderson goes for the Dodgers this afternoon. Tim Hudson making the final start of his career. When we come back, Alana will join us, get an injury update as the Dodgers head toward the finish line in this 2015 season. 79th and final start of his brilliant career. He's probably going to go only 2 or 3 innings today, and then they will send him off into retirement, something he's been looking forward to doing. He is the 3rd oldest starting pitcher in Major League Baseball, behind Bartolo Colon and R.A. Dickey, a 4-time All-Star and a brilliant 17-year Major League career. Among active pitchers, he's got more wins than anybody at 222, 479 starts, second most in the bigs. Number of innings, 3,124, and in strikeouts he ranks 6th. And here's the lineup he'll be facing on this beautiful Thursday afternoon in San Francisco. Carl Crawford, Howie Kendrick, and Adrian Gonzalez. Ethier, Seager, and Utley in the middle of the lineup. Yasmani Grandal catching. Kike Hernandez once again in the starting lineup in center field. Brett Anderson pitching and batting 9th. And, of course, Hudson, his 22nd and 23rd start of the season, and his last of his career.
And always been a gritty competitor and a very classy individual, a team leader.
And Carl Crawford leads off and takes a strike. It's 0-1.
And never has forgotten the fans, Charlie. And he finished his warm-up tosses for his last start in the big leagues, was walking towards the dugout, turned around, walked back 20 steps to a little boy and handed him his warm-up ball.
Crawford takes outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Crawford at 275, playing his 67th game with the Dodgers this season. Of course, he has been beleaguered by injuries. Kendrick and Gonzalez to follow on this sun-drenched Thursday afternoon. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Dodgers enter play today with a little spring in their step, knowing that the Phillies shut out the Mets. But the Dodgers still have a tall task in front of them. They have to win today and essentially win out, as the Mets will be hosting Washington. They're all even in the loss column. Should they end in a tie, the Mets have the tiebreaker, winning 4 of 7 of the regular season games. And wouldn't you know it, it was a walk-off hit by Juan Uribe in the 7th, the deciding game, that gives the Mets the leg up, should it come to that. Either way, it's going to be the Mets and Dodgers a week from tomorrow, either in Los Angeles or in New York.
Wherever it is, the anticipation is going to be very high in both cities. Both have been longing to go deeper into the playoffs for the Dodgers and for the Mets. First time in a while.
Now 1-2 to Crawford. Breeze blowing in from right field toward left. Hudson into the wide. 2-2. And as we get to the Brett Anderson side of the story, Anderson has a lot going for him today, above and beyond the Dodgers' need to win. Where and how will he figure in the postseason rotation? The 2-2, low and outside, 3-2 to Crawford.
In some ways, whoever wins the battle for the 3rd spot has a chance to not even be on the roster, because Alex Wood has pitched out of the bullpen. Brett Anderson really predominantly a starter. So Alex Wood has that piece that he could make the team.
Crawford takes a walk to begin the game. Well, you'll have Kershaw and Greinke, and presumably Kershaw will pitch game 1. Game 3, well, either in New York or LA to be determined. And there's Alex Wood with Jock Peterson behind him. Here's Kendrick at 291, 9 home runs, 54 runs batted in. Crawford could still steal a base. He's gotten 10 out of 12 this year. Dodgers had the hangover effect last night, being shut out by Mike Leake, 5-0. Dodgers were held to 2 hits. And this afternoon, knowing again that the Mets were beaten, Dodgers have a sliver of light. Only Ichiro has more stolen bases than Crawford, and Jimmy Rollins 4th on the list. Rollins off this afternoon. Seager starting at short. Into center field, drifting on back is Jarrett Parker. Halfway on the warning track. So it's Jarrett Parker in center field. Mac Williamson is in left, and Marlon Byrd in right. Duffy at third base. Nick Noonan, his first career home run last night. Kelby Tomlinson at second base, Buster Posey at first, and Trevor Brown behind the plate. That'll bring up Adrian Gonzalez at 276. Adrian with 28 home runs and 88 runs batted in. Has fared well in his career against Huddy. Andre Ethier is on deck. Gonzalez fouls it back, 0-1. Adrian a pinch hitter last night. Again, the back continues to be an issue, and he's as much dictating to Don Mattingly when and how much he needs to play between now and Sunday.
I think it's a good sign that he wanted to play in a day game today. Usually when you have a cranky back, you need the whole day to get treatment and to be ready.
Inside.
But here, being able to get up in the morning and get the blood flow going and being able to get loose enough to play, that's a good sign for the back is healing up.
Mattingly knows a thing or two about a cranky back. Cost him time in his career. Ball, a strike, in and out. We're just underway. Crawford at first after the leadoff walk. And Gonzalez. 4, 6, and 3. Tomlinson to Noonan to Posey. Gonzalez bounces out. Huddy gets out of the inning. Tomlinson, Duffy, and Posey to bat against Brett Anderson when we come back. Francisco Giants as a young lineup on this Thursday afternoon with Kelby Tomlinson leading off at second, Duffy, potential rookie of the year, at third, and Buster Posey, the veteran of the lot, followed by Marlon Byrd. Mac Williamson, Jarrett Parker, Trevor Brown, Nick Noonan, and Tim Hudson facing 27-year-old left-hander Brett Anderson.
It'll be interesting to watch the workload of Brett Anderson. First and foremost, the Dodgers want to see that he is sharp. Secondly, they probably don't want to push him too far because they think maybe he's had a little fatigue and they want him rested, but rested for a long, long time if you're the third starter in the playoffs.
First pitch to Tomlinson is a strike, and it's 0-1. His previous high 30 starts in 2009, his rookie year in Oakland when he won 11. This year he's 9-9, and Tomlinson fouls it off quickly. Anderson is ahead, 0-2. Kelby Tomlinson at 292 with a home run and 18 runs batted in. Has taken over down the stretch for the injured Joe Panik. Duffy on deck, Posey to follow. Anderson quickly ahead. Blind pass. Adrian Gonzalez into right field. So Tomlinson is aboard.
Tomlinson showing himself to be very pesky, has worn out that right field side in this series. Poking the ball over there with a very short, choppy swing. Hasn't hit it hard, but has found some holes.
Had a double 3 at-bats and a walk last night. And here is Matt Duffy. More hits than any other National League rookie with 167 of them. That's how he's gotten to his 300 average with 12 home runs and 76 runs batted in. He has been a pleasant surprise for the Giants. They were hoping he might be able to kind of fill in the gap left behind by Pablo Sandoval. Well, he has exceeded expectations and frankly exceeded the numbers that Sandoval put up in Boston.
Watching his approach and the way he goes about his business, defense and offense, it looks like he's going to be around for a long time.
Duffy 6'2" and a wiry 170 pounds from Long Beach. An 18th round pick in 2012.
That's one of the more interesting practice swings where he tries not to break his wrists until his hands are out in front of his front hip, really trying to hold that and stay inside the ball.
Posey on deck, Tomlinson the lead at first. Duffy out of Lakewood High School. And then it was on to Long Beach State. And now he has had a new home here in San Francisco. Dodgers fly home immediately after the game. Get home in time for dinner. And then the final 3 games of the regular season with the Padres. Tomorrow night 7:10, Saturday 6:10, Sunday at 12:10. Fan Appreciation Day. On 0-2, swung on and missed, strike 3. That was a nifty pitch. Defensively behind Anderson today with Chase Utley in third base. Corey Seager making the start at short. Kendrick at second. Gonzalez at first. Crawford, Kike Hernandez, and Andre Ethier in the outfield. Yasmani Grandal is behind the plate. So 1 out, 1 on, and Buster Posey. Just another terrific season at .321. He takes under the knees. 1 ball and no strikes.
6 RBI short of 100 so far, and he's still got an outside chance of doing that. And the 19 home runs, so he could end up a 20 and 100 guy.
1 ball, 1 strike. Posey, the 3rd leading hitter in the National League. Bryce Harper leads it at .331, tied with D. Gordon. And then Posey comes along. Posey's 94 runs batted in ranks him 9th in the league. Has 2 grand slams, and with 175 hits, he's 4th in the National League in that category. And rapidly becoming the team leader, the guy in the clubhouse.
Hunter Pence, the emotional leader of the Giants, but hasn't been around as long as Buster Posey. Posey having to have that year off because of that major leg injury. But Buster is definitely the quiet leader on the club.
Into center field, Kike Hernandez is there. So 2 out. That'll bring up Marlon Byrd. Kike is an immediate energy source upon his return. As we were mentioning, Hernandez had essentially taken over the center field spot before he pulled the hamstring. But now he's back after missing 26. And Marlon Byrd is stepping in. Byrd, his 37th start with the Giants. And has done well here. Since coming to San Francisco, Byrd 3 home runs, 30 runs batted in 37 games, .275. He wants to come back. The Giants would like to have him come back, but there's a little asterisk in all of that. Anderson deals and Byrd slashes it foul. He has a vesting option to kick in 15 more plate appearances for about $8 million. The Giants have said you're not going to get your 15 plate appearance, but we want you back at a lesser rate. Well, he's interested, they're interested, and by the looks of it, Byrd will be back next year. We've got Byrd and the old timer, Line drive, one hop. Seager makes the play, and Bird is thrown out. No runs and one base hit. We're scoreless as we go to the second with Ethier, Seager, and Utley coming up. Perfect Chamber of Commerce Thursday afternoon. We are scoreless as we begin the second inning. It'll be Andre Ethier, Corey Seager, and Chase Utley at this magnificent ballpark, AT&T. Once upon a time, Pac Bell built it in 2000, and there are a few prettier than this one. Ethier, 297, 14 home runs, and 51 runs batted in. Into right center field. Bird has a long way to go, and he can't get it. Kicks off the glove, and looks like Ethier's going to get himself a triple, and if so, it will be his 7th. Being held by Ron Renicky. Ethier tripled on Tuesday night. So 2 triples in 3 days, and the Dodgers are in business in the second.
Andre Ethier on this road trip has really had his swing working, especially these majestic long fly balls. One that could have been a home run a lot of places, not here. Curves back on Marlon Bird. Ethier easily cruises into third. He has been swinging a hot bat.
And so has Corey Seager. Seager last night failed to get on base. And so his streak of 21 games out of the chute, getting on by hit or by walk, came to an end. Seager at 318 now. At a 407 on base percentage. Starting at shortstop today, Utley starting at third is on deck. Ethier leading off third base. 2 balls and no strikes. So you've got 21-year-old Corey Seager facing 40-year-old Tim Hudson. Seager in the first month of his career, and Hudson on his last day. Two balls and one strike. What has made Tim Hudson Tim Hudson?
Well, he's always been a great competitor with great stuff. In his prime, his fastball is around 93 miles an hour. Great split finger and slider. Always pounded the strike zone low.
3 balls and a strike.
You mentioned that AT&T/Pac Bell opened in 2000. That might have been Tim Hudson's best year. He won 20 games. He was 20-6 that year. It was his second year in the big leagues. He was second in the Cy Young voting to Pedro Martinez.
3-2. His rookie year, 99, with the A's, 11-2 and 3 1/4 ERA. Then he won 20 in 2000, 18-9, 15-9, 16-7. Then it was on to Atlanta, and Seager is done. First strikeout of the game, and Hudson now going to face Chase Utley, picking on somebody almost his own age. So Ethier still is at third. Bochy brings the infield in for Chase Utley. This is his 32nd game with the Dodgers, hitting .205, 3 home runs and 8 runs batted in since moving west.
Giants creep the infield in here. They were back all the way, giving up the run against Seager. Now with 1 out, coming halfway.
Into left field. Williamson used to pitch at Wake Forest, so he's got an arm, and he's showing it off. But sliding in safely is Ethier, and the Dodgers take a 1-0 lead on the sac fly by Chase Utley. For Utley, his 9th run batted in as a Dodger. So Ethier having a fine September. Grandal not so much. Yasmani has seen his average dip to .239. 15 home runs last year, 16 this year, 15 to the 16 this season from the left side of the plate. Now, do the Giants think Ethier left too soon? Apparently he did not. Mike Estabrook, the third base umpire. So 2 out. Dodgers with the early lead. And Grandal takes inside and low, 1 ball and no strikes.
This is really one of the subplots with Yasmani Grandal at the plate. They really need to see him start to swing the bat better to put him in the equation of playing in the playoffs. I think A.J. Ellis is swinging the bat really well.
Right.
We know what the pitching staff thinks of A.J. Ellis and the way he puts down the fingers. So the only reason the Dodgers really went out and got Yasmani was the defense, the framing, and also the bat, and that has gone south right now.
A.J. with the afternoon off. Grandal started at first base last night and was 0 for 3. It has been a long and torturous month of September for Grandal. But he's now got a 3-0 count to work with 2 out here in the second. And Kike Hernandez on deck. They've got a full-throated shift on for Grandal. He takes a strike, 3-1. See how far over Matt Duffy is at third base. Outside, a walk. Second walk given up by Hudson. And Kike Hernandez stepping in. Kike came back in a big way. Got 4 hits in his first 4 at-bats since coming off the disabled list. He homered in the clincher on Tuesday night. And a one hopper to second base. Room service hop for Tomlinson. That's going to do it. One run, the triple by Ethier, the sac fly by Utley. Brett Anderson's got a 1-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the second. Come on out and take your place on the field for a fireworks show featuring a salute to Hispanic Heritage Month. For more information, go to Dodgers.com/promotions. Well, congratulations to Zach Lee and Alex Verdugo, the Branch Rickey minor league pitcher and players of the year for the Dodgers. Lee turned 24 a couple of months back, actually a couple of weeks back. Had a solid year. The 2.70 ERA, won 11 games. First pitch from Brett Anderson in the bottom of the second to Mac Williamson. It's a strike. Zach made a couple of appearances with the Dodgers at the big league level. And Verdugo's an interesting proposition in his second professional season. Played at Great Lakes. 295, 124 hits. So young Dodgers on the way. 2-1 to Williamson with Jarrett Parker on deck. And outside 3-1. Verdugo, by the way, is just 19. Gonzalez going to have to take it himself as Brett Anderson a little late to the dance.
Mike Bolsinger was a little late over there yesterday. Brett Anderson might have to do a little PFP before the playoffs start and remind these guys when the ball's hit to their left, the right side of the infield, they can get over there.
Bolsinger, a tough night last night. 3 1/3 innings, 73 pitches, 3 runs and 4 hits. Just never seemed comfortable out there. Now Jarrett Parker, who has opened a lot of eyes with 6 home runs and 13 runs batted in, hitting .342 in his very brief tour of duty with the Giants. Mentioned last night, you saw the 3 home runs at Oakland last Saturday. First Giant rookie ever to hit 3 home runs in a game. So Bochy's got a lot to look forward to. Jarrett Parker, his 19th big league game. So today Bochy is going with the young fellas, with the exception of Posey and Bird.
General rule of thumb around the big leagues, especially after teams have clinched.
Hendrick had a backpedal, backhand, and then throw wide. Gonzalez remains on the bag, 2 out.
The Carl's Cam replay right here. Howie Kendrick going to his right, throws a little wide. This will test Adrian Gonzalez's back as he keeps his foot on the base.
Nothing like a good old-fashioned stretch of the back. 2 out and nobody on, and here's Trevor Brown, the UCLA product out of Newhall. 1 ball, no strikes. Brown doubled home 2 on Monday night, and the Giants would beat the Dodgers 3-2 in 12. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 out in the second. Just missing. Someday they're going to have to find somebody to do some more catching for the Giants and not rest it all on the knees and back of Buster Posey. Andrew Suzak had a bad wrist most of the year. And perhaps Bochy is looking at Brown in that regard. What can Brown do for him?
I think slowly but surely Buster wants to catch, but slowly but surely I think the Giants want him to move to first base.
Buster rapidly becoming the leader of the pack. Anderson strikes out Brown, his second of the day. Nothing across, 5 in a row. Make it 6 in a row, in fact. Retired by Brett Anderson. We'll go to the third. Dodgers 1-0.
Saying goodbye to one of the game's good ones. Tim Hudson retiring after a tremendous career, 17 seasons in Major League Baseball. A lot of his career spent in the Bay Area, of course, with the Oakland Athletics, here in San Francisco, and of course with the Atlanta Braves. 222 career wins. No other active pitcher has more. Trying to get a win today, but his first career win coming against these very Dodgers back on June 13th of '99.
Brett Anderson leads off for the Dodgers as we head to the third. And in all likelihood, this is Hudson's last inning. This is all predetermined because warming up in the bullpen is Jeremy Affel. 1 ball and no strikes. Anderson fouls it back. Brett Anderson, 3 out of 44 this year, 0.68. In 2002, when Huddy went 15-9, that was the year the Moneyball book. That was the subject that season. And Anderson takes a strike, 1 and 2. It's Hudson, Mulder, and Zito. That's Jeremy Affeldt warming up, and Affeldt, in fact, announced today this will be his last year. So he's got 3 games left on what he's had is just a fabulous career. Hudson, Mulder, and Zito, they were truly the authors of Moneyball. And you could trot those guys out and expect somewhere about 50 to 55 wins a year. All you had to do is figure out how to come up with another 30-35, and you get into the postseason.
They were like Glavine, Smoltz, and Maddox, but they didn't have as good an offense always, and big a budget to work with as the Atlanta guys that really put together a string of division titles.
But when you can bank on 3 pitchers getting you 55 or so wins, and that is Oakland across San Francisco Bay, the city by the bay. Huddy on 3 and 2. Hey, Brett Anderson with a base hit, his 4th of the year. A leadoff single to center.
That would force me into retirement.
Here's Carl Crawford. So it's only a matter of time before Bochy's going to come and get Hudson and allow Tim to drink in a standing ovation for one last time. Crawford walked in his first at-bat. If you're just joining us, hadn't heard, the Mets were shut out today in Philadelphia. It's still, frankly, a long shot for the Dodgers to get home field advantage. They're all even in the loss column. The Mets are 89 and 70. The Dodgers 88 and 70. Dodgers will have to finish the regular season with 1 less loss than the Mets because New York has the tiebreaker. How did they get the tiebreaker? They won the 7th and final game between the 2 teams on a walk-off hit by Juan Uribe. So the mathematics still very much a part of the equation heading into the final weekend of the season. The Padres, of course, will be at Dodger Stadium. The Nationals in New York. Joaquin will also be in New York. A hurricane. So the weather will be a very big factor, at least as of late Thursday afternoon on the East Coast. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Carl Crawford. Now 3 and 2.
Hudson trying to work the 2-seamer away, and then also his little slider backdoor to most of the lefties. Trying to throw one more quality pitch to end his career.
Into left field, Williamson heading back, and in front of the wall, he'll make the catch. That's the first out of the 3rd. Ryan Vogelsong is going to go to work alongside Jeremy Affeldt.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is Tim Hudson's last batter with a lefty on deck and a retiring lefty in the bullpen ready if he gets him out.
4 left-handed batters in a row after Kendrick, beginning with Gonzalez, and how he takes low and outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Kendrick flied to center in his first at-bat. On a leisurely Thursday matinee at AT&T Park. Williamson, Parker, and Bird all very deep. for Kendrick. 9 home runs and 54 runs batted in. Two and 0. How about Hudson? So this is going to be his last day. In the previous start, he went up against Barry Zito. I mean, talk about a sentimental journey.
Talk about some standing ovations they got even when they were pitching poorly. It was amazing.
Well, they both meant so much to the Bay Area.
This was the end of like a basketball game and you knew somebody's retiring, they'd play loose defense and let the guy get a basket. But this game means too much to the Dodgers to just let Tim Hudson have a sentimental journey. Try and beat him for every last ounce that he's in there for these final pitches of his career.
You get a sense that Kendrick's at bat is that last ounce. On 2-1, lined into center field for a base hit. Brett Anderson will hold at second base. First and second with one man out. And here comes Bruce Bochy. Well, we're just going to lay back and watch this all unfold. You know, in this day and age when the game has become perhaps too statistically driven, we're reminded in moments like this what makes this game so wonderful. And Tim Hudson now getting yet another hug from the boss, Bruce Bochy. These are people who play this game, and they leave their heart and soul out there. And for Hudson, 20 years, and he was as good as there was in the time that he played. Adrian Gonzalez now facing Jeremy Affeldt. Now, Affeldt before the game today announced that he was retiring at the end of the season. So how appropriate is it that Hudson calling it a day, and in 4 days so will Affeldt, Dave Righetti, and Huddy. And above everything else, what a great pitcher he was. This is a guy you guys watching may not know him. We do. He is a genuine, sweet, decent human being, and it was an emotional moment.
He made an impact everywhere he played, not only on the field, but with the personnel that he was around.
Adrian Gonzalez, 0-2.
He was a leader when he was in Atlanta. He was a young leader when he was in Oakland, and here in San Francisco, a veteran leader. No matter how good he pitched or how poorly he pitched. He was the same individual every day.
0-2 to Gonzalez. 1 out, 1-0 Dodgers. And Adrian bloops one into left field for a base hit. Brett Anderson. Oh, you mean I'm supposed to go all the way home? And he does. It was almost as if Ron Renicky had to remind him, keep going, keep going. An RBI for Gonzalez, and the Dodgers take a 2-0 lead. Kendrick goes to third on the play.
Brett Anderson looked like he was running underwater. Adrian Gonzalez kind of slices this ball and dices it down the left field line. And when it's this far away from an outfielder, it's just a given that you're going to score easily. But maybe it's not a given that Brett Anderson would score easily, running like he's underwater and on eggshells. And that was not a Carl's cam or a Morongo slow-mo cam.
Oh, it was a slow-mo cam, all right.
That was full speed.
So Gonzalez with the RBI, his 89th, and the Dodgers with a 2-0 lead. First and third, and here's Ethier, who tripled in his first at-bat. Takes a strike. And it's 1-1. Dodgers 2 runs and 4 base hits. First and third, and 1 out. Gets in under the whiskers of Adrian, or Andre. 2-1. Corey Seager on deck.
Huddy made it past 40, but if you look at a 21-year-old on deck, Jeremy Affeld's only 36, deciding to hang it up.
Slowly hit to first. Posey coming home. Throw is high and sliding in. Under the tag, Howie Kendrick, and the Dodgers take a 3-0 lead.
Well, you would think that Posey would just do the routine thing, take a cheap one at first and take the out, but he decides to come home. The throw is going to be in time. It's just high. He set him. Had his other catcher up for a little dangerous time that he's coming down. Fortunately for Howie and fortunately for Brown, he's out in front of the plate when he comes down, and that would have been ugly.
So a fielder's choice and an RBI for Ethier. The Dodgers 3-0. First and second, still 1 man out as Seager is coming up. And Seager with a fly ball into right center. It's Marlon Byrd. Gonzalez not going anywhere. So Brett Anderson in his 31st game this year finally scores his first run.
It was only his 4th hit, so he hadn't been on much. It's nice to see him jog around third base.
One man's jog is another man's sprint. Chase Utley with first and second and 2 out. Utley a sac fly in his first at-bat. The Dodgers with a run in the first and 2 in the second. Tim Hudson's final line of his career, 2 1/3. 3 runs, 3 hits. 2 walks and a strikeout. 45 pitches and 23 for strikes. Utley drove in his 9th run with the Dodgers in his first plate appearance in the second. Yasmani Grandal is on deck. And that one is well hit to right. Byrd sprinting on over, and it's a foul ball. Byrd had a long way to go. So Gonzalez returns to second and Ethier to first. Dodgers with 2 here in the third. Feels more like a spring afternoon than a fall one. Utley went around and he is done. Affeldt strikes him out. And this was an inning we'll remember for a long time. Now Jeremy Affeldt is shaking hands with Adrian Gonzalez. It's Affeldt's last outing. And for Tim Hudson, his last day. Two and a third, 3 runs, 3 hits. Walking into the tunnel in uniform as an active player for the last time. Nick Noonan will lead it off for the Giants here in the bottom half of the third. Anderson and the Dodgers with a 3-0 lead. Noonan, his first big league home run the other night. Started the year in the Yankee organization. Played a little first last night, starting at short tonight, or this afternoon. Seager. Wow, what a play. A high Baltimore chop. The short hop fielded beautifully by Seager, then threw across his body. 1 out here in the third.
Here's your Arco top tier play of the game. Corey Seager does a great job charging that ball, then the snap throw, but the way he rounded it off right there to get an angle at first base, not worrying about the hop as he made the route, dealt with a lot of things on that one play.
Kevin Frandsen is going to pinch hit for Jeremy Affeldt. Affeldt, last time he will pitch against the Dodgers, he is retiring at the end of the day on Sunday. Frandsen takes inside and low, 1 ball and no strikes. So for the Giants and the Dodgers for that matter, a sentimental journey on this Thursday afternoon. Ryan Vogelsong is warming in the San Francisco bullpen. Frandsen to the right side, the base hit. 1 out single to right for the pinch hitter, Kevin Frandsen. So Jeremy Affeldt. A lousy day to announce his retirement with Hudson going out. But Affeldt just had a wonderful career. 13 years in the big leagues, Jeremy Affeldt. Came up with Kansas City as a starter back in 2002. Golfed into short right, and Ethier with a terrific running catch in foul territory. Affeldt came to the Giants after he spent a year and a half in Colorado and a year in Cincinnati, and became one of the outstanding left-handed relieving specialists in the game. Pitched in 4 World Series, 1 with the Rockies. And a ground ball to short. Seager with the underhanded toss, and that's going to do it. We'll go to the 4th. The Dodgers 3 and the Giants nothing. Jeep Cherokee with an EPA estimated 31 highway MPG. It's the perfect choice. Visit Jeep.com today. Splendid Thursday afternoon, 66 at game time. Dodgers and Giants, the final meeting of the year between these two rivals. A rivalry that dates back to 1890. And Ryan Vogelsong is making his 33rd appearance of the year for the Giants and his 11th out of the bullpen. He'll be facing Grandal, Kike Hernandez, and Brett Anderson. Dodgers with a run in the second and 2 in the third. Grandal walked in his first at-bat. There's a strike and it's 0-1. Rivalries in sports are great. And just watching the Dodgers and the Giants over the years, and certainly they have gone tooth and nail forever. The amount of mutual respect from the two sides, and you could see it in just a little moment as the inning was ending and Jeremy Affeldt was leaving the field. Adrian Gonzalez came over and they hugged one another, and they realized this is going to be the last time they'd be facing one another. Well, you play these guys 19 times a year. You can't help but respect them, and sometimes even like them.
You do really respect what's going on the other side of the field when it's a quality organization, and it is a great rivalry. And you know, it takes a Frazier to have an Ali.
That's exactly right. And to depending on the year, which is which.
Exactly. You know, when the Dodgers clinched on the field here a couple nights ago, it was hashtag respect the rivalry. Congratulations, Dodgers, up on the scoreboard.
That was very cool. Oftentimes the intensity of the rivalry is far greater within the fan base than it is within the organizations themselves. Grandal on strikes is done, and that is the first out of the fourth. And here comes Kike Hernandez, who bounced to second base in his first at-bat.
So much about being an athlete is, you know, guarding your emotions and channeling your emotions and hiding your emotions. And sometimes the rivalry is sometimes media generated and sometimes fan generated. And it is also between the players because you want to win, and it's about winning and losing. But you're right, sometimes the intensity in the crowd is a little bit more than even on the field, because some guys, some players, when that emotion, or if they let that emotion in and let them hit them, it makes them a worse player. And they want to be the best they can be. And so one of the tools of being the best they can be is guarding themselves from that emotion.
And then when it's over, as was the case today with Tim Hudson and briefly with Jeremy Affeldt, you know, the humanity of it all kind of came out. There were wonderful and poignant moments. That's not to say over the years there hasn't been some ugliness and some bad blood between the two teams. That sad but iconic moment, Marichal and Roseboro. Broken back ground ball to short. Hernandez retired.
Well, I'm sure there's been an at-bat where Jeremy Affeldt was brought in to face Adrian Gonzalez, the left-on-left battle, which they've had. That's where the hug and the handshake when Jeremy was leaving the field, that he had to come up and in on Adrian. And I'm sure they've gone toe-to-toe, some big moments.
Above it, what we were talking before, above and beyond the numbers, and we're around these guys, and you've been around them forever, and you at a different level forever. These are human beings. Some are terrific people, some not so terrific, some are smart, some not so smart, some are funny, but they're human beings, and they go out and they play hard, and when they respect one another and respect the game as they do it, it makes it special. Brett Anderson got a base hit, his fourth of the year, and scored the first run of the season. That was back in the third inning. That was against Tim Hudson. 1 ball and 2 strikes. We're in the fourth inning. Phillies shut out the Mets today, so the Dodgers and Mets all even in the loss column heading into the final weekend. Anderson is done, so are the Dodgers. Vogelsong retires his side, strikes out 2 of the 3. And we'll go to the bottom of the fourth. Dodgers 3-0. Los Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. Food, music, autographs, on-stage interviews, games, and fun for the entire family, all starting at 2 o'clock. And brought to you by Coca-Cola, Time Warner Cable, and State Farm. For tickets, go to Dodgers.com/Viva. So Brett Anderson, so far so good. A third of the way through this ball game. He'll be facing Buster Posey, Marlon Byrd, and Mac Williamson. Anderson has struck out 2, hasn't walked anybody. 34 pitches, make it 35 pitches, and 26 of them for strikes. Posey flied to center field in his first at-bat and takes a strike. It's 0-1. Posey, Byrd, and Williamson to bat. Buster, the 3rd leading hitter in the league. And it's 0-2. We were mentioning earlier, we were talking about the great rivalry between the Dodgers and Giants. It goes back 125 years. We were talking one side's the Ali, the other side is the Frazier, and it depends on any given day or season. Pointed out, and I did not know, 40 years ago today, maybe the greatest fight ever fought. The Thrilla in Manila. Ali Frazier. Neither fighter was the same after that.
Hey, my dad took me to a movie theater to see that. Original pay-per-view.
1-2. Backhanded at short by Seager. And dug out by Gonzalez.
In the minor leagues, that might be an error for Corey Seager. Up here, sometimes it's easier to field because you've got a Gold Glover over there at first. You make a nice routine play in the hole. You throw it over to Adrian a little low, and it's like getting out of bed for Adrian, scooping the ball.
And the other issue is a far better manicured field.
Yeah.
Sometimes those minor league fields, you have to take life into your own hands. Marlon Byrd bounced to short in his first at-bat. Anderson appears to be in a pretty good rhythm today. Not so much the case the last few starts. And when he's right, he gets ground balls. There has been they got 2 outfield flies today.
He looks very crisp and very confident. Gets right back up on the mound and gets ready to throw quickly, and that's when he's at his best. The breaking ball has had some really good downward movement today. 2 that he threw to Buster Posey in the last at bat had some great depth to them.
Over the course of the year, 2/3 of the balls put in play on the ground against Brett Anderson. He has, however, given up 18 home runs. I saw a stat the other day. 17% of the fly balls off the bat of opposing hitters against Anderson end up in the seats. So he's got to keep the ball on the ground. There's another grounder foul. Sinker ball pitchers by trade are more likely to give up more hits because you've got all that space in the infield.
Well, you're pitching to contact. Usually not strikeout pitchers.
And there's a ground ball to second.
The whole key with being a sinker ball pitcher is that if your ground ball goes between somebody, you get another one, and if it's at somebody, you get 2 outs. Just play the baseball probabilities. The other way you evaluate yourself is really the number of hops. So you know you really have good depth on your sinker, that they're hitting more of the top of the ball. So you want more 3 and 4 and 5 hoppers than you do 1 and 2 hoppers.
But if the sinker doesn't sink, you're sunk.
17% of them go out of the yard.
You're sunk. 2 out. Mac Williamson bounced to first in his first at-bat. That's a telltale sign as to whether a pitcher like Anderson is succeeding or not. Jared Parker on deck. And there's another sinker. Barehanded play by Utley, and he throws him out. Chase Utley has played less than a half a dozen games in his career at third base. With a barehanded play, throws out Williamson, and a 1-2-3 inning for Brett Anderson. Nicely done. Fancy footwork by Gonzalez. We go to the fifth. Scott Schebler helped Tommy Lasorda celebrate his birthday. Plus, Vin Scully breaks a Guinness World Record. Don't miss Backstage Dodgers tonight at 7 o'clock, right here on Sportsnet LA. Top of the order for the Dodgers. As we head to the top of the fifth, it'll be Carl Crawford, Howie Kendrick, and Adrian Gonzalez. Ryan Vogelsong, the Giants' third pitcher of the day. But this is all planned out. Tim Hudson, in his final Major League start, went 2 1/3 and got a long and loud standing ovation as he left. And then he'd be replaced by Jeremy Affeldt, who pitched 2/3 of an inning. And prior to the game today, Affeldt announced that on Sunday that would be his last game. He would retire. So Crawford, Kendrick, and Gonzalez to face Vogelsong here in the fifth. And it's 0-2. Affeldt was thinking about retiring at the All-Star break. He was just plain worn out. And he came back from the break. And he was telling Buster Posey, who again we were talking about, really become the team leader here. You know, he said, I'm not sure I really even wanted to come back. I was thinking about retiring. To which Posey said, give it a couple of weeks, let it set in. And he decided, kind of at the urging of Posey, yeah, let's finish it out on our horse.
You know, it might be interesting, though. He's going to go home, and he's going to heal up. He's throwing 91 today, and he had a pretty good breaking ball. And he's going to heal up, and after about a year, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back. He'll get a phone call. Do you remember Darren Oliver?
Sure.
Darren Oliver got a phone call. He came back and pitched for another 5 years after about a year off. So you never know, and especially being left-handed and being able to spin the ball. We'll see. He's got 3 little kids I think he wants to go home and be with, but we'll see after a year. My body felt great. It took about a year to heal up. I retired at 41 3/4.
And 3/4. That was the 3/4 that did you in.
It was June, and I was going to be 42 in September.
Howie Kendrick. 1 for 2 and a run scored today. Dodgers 3 runs and 4 hits. The Giants no runs and 2.
With Jeremy Affeldt, he's 36 and left-handed and can spin it, so you never know.
Adrian Gonzalez on deck. While the Mets will be hosting the Nationals this weekend in New York in buckets of rain, the Dodgers tomorrow night host the Padres. Alex Wood against Casey Kelly. Drilled into left field, and that's going to be a base hit. It's going to roll to the corner. Kendrick, who generally hits the other way, pulls one into the left field corner for a double, his 21st two-base hit of the year.
Hit it down in the corner. I was glad it wasn't really a ball that he had to think about whether he was going to go for two or not. This is one that's a routine double, but he got to stride it out and really exercise those legs, make sure that he is still healthy. I still don't think he's playing at 100%, but he's able to play and still getting into shape.
Adrian Gonzalez has bounced into a double play and singled to left. It did something that nobody else in baseball this year did. He drove in Brett Anderson. Anderson scored his first run of the season with that. Gonzalez swings and misses, nothing in one.
I think Howie Kendrick and Tim Hudson will have a laugh someday, and Tim Hudson will thank him, because Tim Hudson almost had an opportunity to retire after Brett Anderson got the last hit off him, but fortunately Howie got the next one.
It wasn't a cause or effect.
Like, I could just see that, Tim gets Howie out and then they take him out. They would say that would be a better finish than what I had. But you know what? You getting that hit, Howie, knocking me out of the game, at least I don't have to say that Brett got the last hit.
And that would be the last laugh, too, wouldn't it? 1 ball, 2 strikes.
And those are the digs, even after you retire, that people still, when you pass them at an old-timers game or a luncheon that you're both at or something, everybody still jabs in your side.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Gonzalez with Ethier on deck and 1 out in the 5th. Well, as the Dodgers look ahead to next Friday, whether it's at Dodger Stadium or at Citi Field, priority from now through Sunday, stay healthy. Win as much as you can. Hope that the Mets lose, but stay healthy. Here's the 1-2. Into right. Bird going back. Deepest part of the park. So that allows Kendrick to tag and go to third easily.
Bird had a little bit more time to get onto this one. He's been in that part of the ballpark earlier today on Andre Ethier's triple that clanked off of his glove. That one was a little easier to catch.
Now with 2 out, Ethier has tripled, scored a run, driven in a run with a fielder's choice. Kike Hernandez has gotten healthy just in the nick of time. Kendrick still nursing the hamstring, but certainly doing just fine. Puig is out in Glendale, and he's running around and playing in the instructional league. But the reality of him returning this year in the postseason under any circumstances would appear to be at best remote. He will not have played. He's already missed 70 games.
That would be like saying somebody who is playing in the backfield in spring training is all of a sudden ready for the season. It just doesn't happen that quickly. It's probably not going to happen for a while.
He's been on the disabled list since August the 28th. And to expect him back suddenly in the 9th of October is next Friday. And then a week or 10 days after that, if the Dodgers season continues, and a week or 10 days after that when everybody is in postseason form and you haven't played in a couple of months. So while you see and hear, well, he's progressing and he's doing this and he's doing that, not to the level that the other boys are. Ethier's down on strikes. That's 4 strikeouts for Vogelsong, no runs. One hit, the Kendrick double after 4 1/2. It's the Dodgers 3-0. Toyota dealers. The time is short, but the savings are big at Toyota's Clearance Countdown. Going on now. Jarrett Parker to lead it off for the Giants as we head to the 5th. Bounced to second in his first at-bat. Brett Anderson through 4 innings has been pretty near flawless. He's given up 2 hits. He has struck out 2. He's been in a great rhythm, and he can't wait to throw the next pitch, which is outside 2-0. Parker, Trevor Brown, and Nick Noonan. The hit for the Giants. And it's 2-1.
Nice little rhythmic 2-0 curveball right there from Brett Anderson.
Anderson got cuffed around in his last start against the Rockies. Right into the glove of Seager. In his last start against Colorado, 6 runs and 10 hits in 4 innings. The previous start against the Diamondbacks, 5 runs and 10 hits in 4 2/3. But today he has been much more rhythmic, and to what extent do you put an asterisk next to this? There's a ground ball to third base. Trevor Brown's going to be thrown out by Utley, 2 out. There are only 2 veterans in the Giant lineup today.
Yeah, you know, I always start to evaluate the outing with when Matt Duffy's hitting, when Buster Posey's hitting, when Marlon Byrd's hitting, and those guys have all gone over. So, yeah, the youngsters should have an upper hand against the guys from AAA that are coming up and getting some big league experience. But against the meat of the order, also, he's thrown some outstanding pitches and got those guys out.
And only 2 outfield flyouts today. Noonan bounced to short in his first at-bat, and Seager made a terrific play on it. And another ground ball. This one foul up the first base line past Bill Hayes. And one of the Giant ball dudes picks it up. The 1-1. Breaking ball down and away. It just appears as if Anderson is locked into a good rhythm.
You can judge what the hitters are doing, then you can also just evaluate the pitch in a vacuum, and they're very late, very sharp. You know, and he had some bad luck in his real rough outing where they were hitting a lot of toppers and finding a lot of holes. Then all of a sudden, here comes the home run by Nolan Arenado.
Kendrick will throw out Noonan. And Anderson will have another good inning. We'll go to the 6th. Dodgers 3-0. So get your tickets for baseball and some fantastic prizes, like a 1-year lease on a Mercedes-Benz C-Class, an LG 49-inch smart LED TV, a personal lawn care visit by the Dodgers ground crew, season tickets for 2016, and a whole lot more. For all the details on what's been given away, visit Dodgers.com/fan appreciation. We will go to the 6th. And Corey Seager will lead it off. Seager is 1 for his last 10. You mean he's not going to hit 500 all the time?
I don't think he's going to hit 500. About now, he looks like a guy who's probably going to hit around 280, 285. Some power, gap to gap, and be able to hit it over the fence. Looks like he really understands his own strike zone.
One of those old baseball cliches, never judge a player what he does in March or September.
Yep.
How do they grind it out with 100, 115, 120 games in? Into left, and that's Mac Williamson drifting back.
The thing that gives you confidence about Corey Seager continuing to reproduce what he's doing here so far in September and now October is the fact that he looks like the speed of the game is slow for him. And there's a lot of poise and a lot of adjustments already being made. The fact that he's hitting left-handers as well as right-handers is another thing.
Playing shortstop as well as third base. Takes everything in stride. Here is Utley, a sac fly, and he's been struck out. No balls and a strike to Chase Utley.
He's not sprinting, Charlie, you know. He's just playing at a solid pace and producing.
We talked about it last night and the night before. He's got the baseball smarts to boot. Well, that's something that Utley has always had. On a second nasty hop, Noonan with the backhand play. Well, with 2 out, Grandal coming up. He's walked and has been struck out. This is Ryan Vogelsong's 3rd inning of relief. Tim Hudson, his final start of his brilliant career, 2 1/3. And Jeremy Affeldt making his last appearance, certainly against the Dodgers, pitching 2/3 of an inning today. There's Huddy and Madison Bumgarner. Randall into center. Jarrett Parker. And the Dodgers go quietly. This game has the feel of an exhibition game today, and the Dodgers more than happy with the way things have gone so far. They lead 3-0 after 5.5. Dodgers will land back in Los Angeles about 7 o'clock tonight. Have a nice dinner at home. Return to action tomorrow night. First pitch at 7:10. Padres are in town. Alex Wood and Casey Kelly. Saturday at 6:10. First pitch. Zach Greinke and Robbie Erlin. And Sunday in the grand finale, Clayton Kershaw and big game, or at least be last game, James Shields. Meanwhile, it's been a fine game to this point for Brett Anderson. No runs and 2 hits, 2 strikeouts. Giants have not had a runner reach second base as yet. Well, he's got the ground ball working. Vogelsong, the 3rd Giant pitcher of the day. It's 0-2. Kelby Tomlinson and Matt Duffy will follow. And Anderson with his 3rd strikeout. That's the first out of the 6th.
Quick work for Brian Anderson right there. A few breaking balls, put him away, keep the pitch count down, turn the lineup over.
So Alex Wood goes tomorrow night. He and Anderson, if there is a battle for the 3rd spot of the rotation in the postseason, Wood is the other guy. But today, or this afternoon, Anderson has more than lived up to his end of the bargain.
Whatever way Brett finishes up, being the 3rd starter in the playoffs, having a good outing here and getting the W, he was one of the saviors of this rotation after losing McCarthy and Ryu. The question mark, his health, and could he stay healthy a full season? He's accomplished that goal, and it's been at a very high quality at times.
Well, he set a career high in starts. This is his 31st. A 9-9 record, a 3.75 ERA. Tomlinson, who is 1 for 2. And the ball dude to give away a souvenir. Here's Utley. Barehanded play a second time today. Chase Utley, who has played just a handful of games in his career at third base, and all of them with the Dodgers, with two nifty plays with the barehand this afternoon.
We know he can barehand from the play that you make at second base. We have to run in when a guy either bunts or hits a chopper like that. But to barehand and then have the accurate throwing arm, and you play this and the curve of the throw, that's the outstanding part of that. As we watch it on the Morongo slow-mo cam, you actually feel like you're throwing the ball down the right field line because you know the ball's going to curve back to the first baseman. If you throw the ball at the first baseman or the back of the runner, it's going to end up inside. And he did that on the first try, but it's still close enough. That second one made the adjustment and was right on the bag.
Matt Duffy 0 for 2. Takes a strike. It's 0-1. Duffy is struck out and grounded to short. And this time he flies to right. Another solid inning turned in for Brett Anderson. 1, 2, 3 will go to the 7th. And the Dodgers with a 3-0 lead. His 4th inning of relief. Story of the day with the Dodgers leading 3-0 notwithstanding. Tim Hudson and the final start of his great career. Hudson, his 429th, 79th career start. Saying his goodbyes. There's Madison Bumgarner by his side. And there's Hunter Pence. And Kike Hernandez leads off for the Dodgers. And a ground ball foul up the third base line. And it's 0-1. Hernandez has bounced to second and bounced to short.
Isn't it funny, of all the players on the disabled list this year that we've really kind of waited for their return? Kenley Jansen, that was kind of a long wait.
A month and a half.
The wait for Kike Hernandez was much anticipated after he won the starting center field job.
Missed 26 games with a hamstring. One ball and 2 strikes. Kike actually came up with the Houston organization, then traded to the Marlins and to the Dodgers. Two and 2. And by the looks of it, as much as we know, he's going to be the center fielder in the postseason.
Sure seems like it.
He's been hot, and Peterson has struggled. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now the Dodgers keep their fingers crossed and hope that Kike's hamstring remains healthy and sound down the stretch.
It seemed like with all the hamstring injuries, they've taken a lot longer to come back than they thought, and then they want to make sure that they're completely better so they don't get the reoccurring ones, kind of like with Yasiel Puig. And I think the wait for him is going to be to next year.
Howie Kendrick suffered with a hamstring this year as well. Hernandez takes high and away, works the count full. Rarely are the hamstrings ever 100% again. You always have to nurse them along. Hard ground ball to third. Duffy picks it up and throws him out. What would be the end of Ken Griffey's brilliant career began with a hamstring.
Coming around third base, I think I remember watching him blow it up. That scar tissue in there just isn't as flexible. It heals, but it's just not as flexible, and then it leads to other things. Just got to continue to nurse it. And a lot of times they're in there massaging it and trying to break that scar tissue loose, so it's an ongoing process even though you're healed to keep it flexible.
One ball and 1 strike to Brett Anderson. Remember when Junior damaged the hamstring? It was in Cincinnati, second go around. 1 ball and 2 strikes. He said, it's only a hamstring. And his father, Ken Griffey Sr., said, it's not just a hamstring. And that would eventually be the beginning of the end of Junior's great career. Here's the 1-2. Anderson with a big rip, fouls it back. Adrian Gonzalez would single to left, and Brett Anderson puffing and puffing, and would come around to score his first run of the season. There's a huff, and there's a puff, and he would score one of the 3 Dodger runs of the day, and he's just been struck out for the second out of the 7th inning, and the 5th strikeout of the game for Ryan Vogelsong. Crawford has walked, struck out, and flied to left. In soccer, they have what they call the friendlies. In a sense, today, this is a friendly. It's a beautiful, almost spring-like day, although it's the first day of October, 66 at game time. Clouds off in the distance. The prevailing breeze coming in from right field toward left. Lovely day, and Dodgers with the lead, and the Giants are finishing out their season, and the Dodgers just getting primed for the postseason. And those are the standings.
One of the things that is sometimes lost in asking about players is how much they love to play. Because it's so much about profession, about winning and losing, or you're hot or you're in a slump. But these guys absolutely love the ballpark and love to come to the ballpark and love to play this game. Love to practice it. That's where it all originated.
It's the life they chose. And it's a pretty darn good life.
Yeah.
There's Javier Lopez. He's trotting out. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs in the 7th. Dodgers have led 3-0 since the 3rd. And Crawford takes a call, strike 3. Tried to convince home plate umpire Ed Hickox it wasn't a strike. Hickox wasn't buying. And the Dodgers are down in order. And we're at the 7th inning stretch. LA 3-0. As we go to the bottom half of the 7th inning, Buster Posey, Marlon Byrd, and Mac Williamson coming up. Posey 0 for 2, Byrd 0 for 2, and Williamson 0 for 2. Anderson has struck out 3, and he's been in control of his domain on this Thursday.
Very slick 70 pitches so far.
Ground ball to the right side. Oh, look at Kendrick from short right field, robbing Buster Posey. Well, the Dodgers have turned in some snappy defense today.
Howie giving ground the whole time on this route that gets him that extra step and reach, and then spinning and delivering a strike to Adrian Gonzalez. Outstanding play and range from Howie, understanding how much room he had to cover and what angle he needed to take.
So 1 out, nobody on, and Marlon Byrd coming up. But just as importantly, yet another ground ball from Brett Anderson. So when right, 2/3 of balls in play end up on the ground. And there's a fly ball into right. But Ethier's there, 2 out. Game is motoring right along. Matt Williamson is stepping in. This is the final road game of the regular season. And a week from tomorrow, the Dodgers and the Mets will begin either on the West Coast or the East. So going into the final weekend of the season, the Dodgers playing 3 at home with the Padres. The Mets are playing 3 at home with the Washington Nationals. It will be about as cranky as the weather. So they're expecting some part of Hurricane Joaquin They'll be playing between raindrops, it appears, in the 3-game series in New York.
And that could lend itself to some of the effectiveness of the Mets and what kind of lineup they put out there. They might not want to risk some of their players to play in the bad conditions.
And they may or may not play those games and may have to extend until Monday. There are any sort of possibilities that will make MLB's life miserable. The Dodgers can sit back and take care of their own business and
enjoy Southern California.
And they can let it rain on the East Coast. Williamson bounces out. Anderson continues his strong outing. We head to the 8th. Dodgers 3-0. Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop at ChooseNissan.com. New pitcher for the Giants is Josh Osich. He's 27, and since his call-up, opponents are hitting just .208 against him. Hard-throwing left-hander. Howie Kendrick leads it off in the 8th and takes a strike, 0-1. Ryan Vogelsong in 4 innings of relief. He was terrific. 1 hit, 6 strikeouts, and nothing but zeros. Kendrick 2 for 3 and a run scored. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Dodgers with a run in the first, an Ethier triple and a sac fly by Chase Utley. In the 3rd inning, Brett Anderson singled to center, his 4th hit of the year. Kendrick would single, and Adrian Gonzalez would knock home Brett Anderson. Kendrick swings and misses and is 1-2. So RBIs today for Gonzalez, Ethier, and Utley, the sacrifice fly, knocking home Ethier back in the 2nd. And the rest been in the hands and arm of Brett Anderson. Down on strikes is Kendrick. That's the 8th Dodger struck out today. Gonzalez 1 for 3. Knocked in his 89th run of the season. That was back in the 3rd. So Adrian's playing the whole day today. It'll be interesting to see who plays and for how long this weekend at home against the Padres.
It's a lot of days off between Sunday and that first game against the Mets, so I think they're going to play straight through these guys. Maybe it's only 3 at-bats, but I think they're going to play as much as they can.
Well, if the Dodgers hang on and beat the Giants today, they will fly home for the weekend series with the Padres with the exact same record as the Mets. Dodgers need to win one more than New York, each of course with 3 games left, in order to secure home field advantage. Duffy picks it up and throws out Gonzalez, 2 out. So the games will count. Again, if the Dodgers could trot out Kershaw and Greinke, at least one of those games as the sun is setting. That's as much as anything what they're playing for. Get those 2 guys in most advantageous situations. Ethier triple in 3 at-bats today and has knocked in a run.
One thing about getting those West Coast starts with the bad vision in the first 3-4 innings is the workload on your pitchers might be less. Both teams get to battle through that sun, so the opposing pitcher also in the Mets. But if you were ever thinking about bringing back somebody on short rest, you've got a higher probability of having a lesser workload outing, you know, that intensity in that first couple games if it's a West Coast start than if it was an East Coast start.
All right, from a player point of view, having the loud crowd on your side or against you, is there any impact at all on that?
At the playoffs, for me, there wasn't. Not at all. It's a convenience in the regular season, and there's a routine to it, and you love being at home. But in the playoffs, it's just a different animal.
You've got a game to play. Ethier takes low. So home field advantage is just something by and large we who don't play think is a bigger deal than it really is.
Batting second is probably the best thing because you know what you have to do on offense. You know what you have to do on defense. But I think there was a study a while back by Sports Illustrated, and they talked about the main difference is just the umpiring, the officiating. There's a subconscious level of having the crowd there that changes the officiating slightly. I don't know how scientific the study was, but I remember that was the findings. It wasn't about sleeping in your own bed or eating home-cooked meals or the travel, the wear and tear of the travel. It was they came up with the conclusion that they thought the home field difference was the officiating.
3 balls and 2 strikes. Ethier takes a walk. There is a different feel to postseason games. There's an intensity, and suddenly each pitch becomes a battle unto itself. Each inning becomes a bigger battle, and so on.
Yeah, that stimulus is, for players, makes it feel like it's not about home field advantage. I pre-played all of that in my head going into those games and going into the regular season games. I pre-played those emotions. I pre-played a player on my team making an error behind me. What was going to be my reaction? I pre-played somebody hanging over the bullpen wall as I was warming up on the road, teasing me about my name, using saying derogatory things about our team. How was I going to react to that? How was I going to stay in my game face? I pre-played positive emotions of standing ovations and people encouraging me.
Corey Seager, who's 0 for 3. The count is 0-1 with 2 out in the 8th.
I think the mental preparation for big games and big moments is just as important as the physical preparation.
Seager hitless in 3 at-bats. Not anymore. Base hit into right field. So Corey is 1 for 4. Ethier holds at second, 2 out. And Chase Utley coming up. Sergio Romo trotting out of the Giant dugout to the bullpen now. Utley coming up. Randall, the switch hitter, on deck, and then Kike Hernandez, a right-handed batter. And 159 games into the season. Bruce Bochy is still managing like he was in the middle of a pennant race. Utley over 2 and a sac fly today. 2 on and 2 out in the 8th. Dodgers 3-0. Generally speaking, experience is probably the biggest advantage between a team in the playoffs, one who has it and one who doesn't, because you've been there. You know how those emotions are. And again, as you say, pre-play those.
Yeah, and it's really the same subject we're talking about, because you don't have to then pre-play them if you've already been there and you've had the experience.
Right.
And I think for our youngsters, if Corey Seager is going to be an integral part of this team after getting that base hit right here, if anybody who's going to be doing something for the first time, they want to talk to the veterans, they want to run through those kind of things and in their head.
It's funny, I was talking with Howie Kendrick about that the other night as we were watching the Angels on television and also watching how the Astros had gone into this quasi free fall in the last month or so of the season. And he was saying that the Astros don't have that one veteran, that stabilizing force who has experienced any of that. It's been a wonderful run for the young Houston Astros. But who's been there and done that and guide the team through the bad times, more importantly, than the good times?
Just watch Chase Utley in the batter's box right here and see how relaxed he is. I'll guarantee you in the playoffs, he's going to arch his back. He's going to breathe slow. He's going to have the same rhythm as he has right now. He's not going to be like a cat playing with a ball of yarn and like figuring out where it is and getting all nervous. He's just going to be locked in. And that's experience.
The 1-2 outside and low 2-2.
This could be first and second, 2 out, 9th inning, deciding game, and he's going to have that same rhythm in the batter's box. I really, truly believe it. I've seen it. He's a champion.
Jimmy Rollins as well.
Adrian Gonzalez, you won't see his rhythm change.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Rolled to second. Tomlinson will throw out Utley. That'll do it in the 8th. After 7.5, Dodgers 3-0. #1 app for live baseball. Enjoy live look-ins, highlights, replay reviews, scores, StatCast, live radio broadcasts, and more. Get MLB.com at bat right now. So a good afternoon for Brett Anderson, who has given up a grand total of 2 base hits. A 1-out single in the 3rd inning was the last runner for the Giants. Jarrett Parker leading it off in the bottom of the 8th. Parker, Trevor Brown, and Nick Noonan to bat, and that's Chris Hatcher warming up. As you see, only 80 pitches to this point for Anderson. Only 21 balls all day. So he's averaging 3 balls per inning.
That's very efficient. It's Kershaw-esque.
Here's something Yogi might say. Give up 3 balls in an inning, can't walk anybody. So an infield hit for Jarrett Parker, and he'll go to second.
That was a great line that just got lost right there.
Thank you.
The ball gets thrown away, and the best part about this play was your line.
It's true.
As Yogi might say, if you only have 3 balls in an inning, you won't walk anybody.
Trevor Brown is the batter. What Yogi had was timing.
You could have been his writer.
Of course, the funeral was the other day, and there was a moment of silence here at Coors Field night before last on the day of the funeral. Two balls and no strikes to Trevor Brown. Angel Pagan in the on-deck circle to pinch hit. 2-0. Brown is 0 for 2. And that one up the middle. Kendrick is there. Parker will go to third. And Pagan is coming up. It'll be pinch hitting for Nick Noonan. Sergio Romo going back to work again. A model of efficiency on this Thursday afternoon, Brett Anderson. Pagan came up with the Cubs back in 2006. Spent most of 2006 and the course of 2007 in the minor leagues, and then from the Cubs to the Mets, from the Mets to the Giants in 2012. He has turned in a very solid career, a .283 lifetime batting average. One ball and 2 strikes to Pagan. Brandon Crawford on deck. See how big Parker is standing next to Chase Utley there at third. Anderson on 1 and 2. Infield hit, and in the score is Parker. On the pinch hit by Pagan, the shutout is over. The Dodger lead has been trimmed to 3-1.
Reminds me of the outing that Brett Anderson had against Colorado at the very beginning. A whole bunch of infield hits, a bunt hit, choppers that found their way around, and then all of a sudden Nolan Arenado had a grand slam off of him. Rick Honeycutt trotting to the mound to talk to him to make sure he's okay, but also just, hey, stick with the plan. Those are 2 little routine ground balls that just happen to not be hit at anybody.
Well, the hit and the error. And then Brown would bounce out. That would get Parker to third, and Pagan with the infield hit. Hatcher appears ready in the bullpen if needed. Brandon Crawford is coming up. Crawford pinch hitting. Crawford with 20 home runs. He leads the Giants in home runs. And no Giant shortstop in more than 100 years has led the team in home runs. No balls and a strike. A fellow named Bill Dolan led the Giants in home runs with 7 in 1905. So watch out, Bill Dolan. Your time is running out. Gonzalez will tag out Crawford. Pagan will go to second, 2 out. Kelby Tomlinson is coming up. Don Mattingly's coming out. And Chris Hatcher will be coming in. And Brett Anderson's day is done. And quite an afternoon for Brett Anderson. Gives himself a jolt of confidence, and the Dodgers get a jolt of confidence in the performance he just turned in. A run and 4 hits in 7 2/3. We're coming right back. Has tossed scoreless relief in 10 of his last 11 games. And since coming off the DL in the middle of August, he has pitched scoreless relief in 17 of his last 20 appearances, with an ERA of 1.40. So the big hard-throwing right-hander, another former Marlin, will be facing Kelby Tomlinson, and Brett Anderson with an outstanding pitching performance today. The error by Kendrick makes that run unearned. Tomlinson has single to right. Robbed of a hit on a barehanded play by Utley in his last at-bat. He's also flied to right. Dodgers 3-1 with 2 out. A run in the bottom of the 8th. Kike Hernandez in center is almost embarrassingly shallow. Tomlinson has 1 home run and 18 runs batted in. By far, Kike is the most shallow of the 3 outfielders. On 0-2. Into right, and Ethier can't get it. Pagan comes in to score, and Tomlinson goes to second. It is now a Dodger 3-2 lead.
Andre Ethier tried to end the inning and save the run. In doing so, he risked the fact that the batter runner, Tomlinson, could get the second. And we lost on both accounts here. Tomlinson just pokes it out there. Scouting on him is now to do that. Ethier was in shallow like Hernandez, not quite as shallow. Andre does a great job keeping in front of him. Went for the catch and just couldn't get it.
And Matt Duffy, with Tomlinson now the tying run at second base. Santiago Casillas trotting out to the Giant bullpen. Into right field. Ethier is there. That's going to do it. But the Giants make it interesting with a couple of runs, 3 hits, an error, and they leave 1. We go to the 9th. Dodgers 3-2.
Sergio Romo taking over on the mound. Brandon Crawford is going to take over at shortstop. And so those are the couple changes for the San Francisco Giants as we go here to the top of the 9th.
With Yasmani Grandal leading it off, then Kike Hernandez. And Kenley Jansen going to work in the bullpen. Grandal 0 for 2 and a walk. And here is Romo. Ball strike, 0-1. Romo's 68th appearance, 0-5, and a 3.15 ERA. And over the years, he has made life miserable for the Dodgers. Strike, 0-2. This is the loudest the crowd's been all day. Brett Anderson, 7 2/3. Gave up 2 runs and 4 hits. Hatcher came in and retired 1 batter and gave up 1 hit. So now it's a 1-run game, and with the Mets having lost today, the intensity for the first time is a little more palpable than it's been in the last 2.5 hours. Into right, and Bird is coming in.
Romo's had a really good year against right-handed hitters. They're only hitting 175 off him, but lefties are hitting 391.
Kike Hernandez is 0 for 3. That's Jock Peterson. He's going to pinch hit. Kike has bounced to second, short, and third. Takes a strike, 0-1. So the Mets lost today, shutout in Philadelphia. And if the Dodgers can hang on and win this thing, Mets and Dodgers will be in a tie heading into the final weekend of the season. But if they finish with identical records, the Mets would have home field advantage because Juan Uribe, of all people, had a walk-off hit in what turned out to be the deciding game of the 7-game season series. A walk-off, no less.
So a deep fly ball to left center. Remember? Right in the gap.
But Uribe may not be ready for the playoffs. He hurt his sternum, and it's still bothering him significantly. Initially hurt it on a little pop-up to short right, made a headlong dive and landed flush on his chest. Came back a few days later, and then about within the last week checked his swing and just felt intense pain. Cespedes, of course, got hit in the hand the other day. Did not play today. Kike Hernandez down on strikes, 2 out of the top of the 9th. This is the difference potentially between home field advantage and not. The walk-off, the wall. Anderson would come in to score. Uribe had only been with the team about 48 hours, and that hit could well tell the difference between who has home field advantage beginning next week. Poppy. With 2 out, here's Jock Peterson pinch hitting.
Jock has really changed his stance now the last few days that we've seen him in a much deeper crouch.
The Giants, by the way, in the bottom of the 9th will have Buster Posey, Marlon Byrd, and Mac Williamson coming up. It's a 1-run game now. One ball, 1 strike to Jock Peterson. Three runs and 6 hits for the Dodgers, 2 runs and 5 for the Giants. 2-1. Santiago Casilla going out to the Giant bullpen again. Second time he's been up. Now 3-1. Yeah, Peterson has a much more noticeable bend at the knee.
Yep. Spine angle's a little tilted in towards the plate from the head down to the hips, and then the knee bend is what it used to be straight up and down almost, but now the knees are bent actually over the toes.
It's been a struggle for Jock second half of the year. Down to 210. Takes a 2-out walk. They bring up Carl Crawford. Crawford today walked in his first at-bat and flied to left and struck out twice. So Kenley Jansen warming in the Dodger bullpen. Would love to get an insurance run to work with. Dodgers 3-2 in the ninth. Kendrick on deck. Peterson, of course, was a 30-30 man last year at AAA. First 30-30 man they had in more than a half century in the PCL. But in his first big league season, 4 stolen bases in 11 tries. Here's a strike. 0-1 to Carl Crawford. Talk about injuries. For Crawford, this is just his 67th game of the year. He didn't just pull an oblique, it came off the bone. Javier Lopez has joined Santiago Casilla in the Giant bullpen. Kendrick on deck, Gonzalez to follow, and it's down 0-2 to Carl Crawford.
You talk about that oblique too. Talk about an injury that is hard to figure out when to start exercising it and what you can do.
Like they used to say in the old cowboy movies, one false move.
Exactly.
Crawford barely stays alive. No balls, 2 strikes, and 2 out. Peterson a short lead at first. Crawford bloops one into the glove of Brandon Crawford, and that's going to do it. We'll go to the bottom half of the ninth inning. Kenley Jansen is on his way in. He'll be facing Posey, Bird, and Williamson. The Dodgers nurse a 1-run lead. Jock Peterson, who came in to pinch hit, takes over in center. And Kenley Jansen in search of his 35th save in his 53rd appearance. Opposing hitters hitting just 177 against him. In 50 and a third innings, he has struck out 79. Ronald Torreyes takes over at third base for Chase Utley. Buster Posey leads it off in the bottom of the ninth. Dodgers 3-2, and they can pull even with the Mets with 3 games to go for home field advantage. Statistically even. Should the Dodgers and Mets end up with the identical record, the Mets would have home field advantage next Friday. Mets finish up at home with Washington. The Dodgers head home to face the Padres this weekend. Posey off the end of the bat. Jansen with the underhanded flip. That's 1 out. Well, getting that first out, especially a fellow like Posey, is a step in the right direction for Jansen. Alejandro Diaz is in the on-deck circle. Marlon Byrd is 0 for 3. So the Dodgers 2 out from their 89th win. They finished last year with 94. Grounded to short. Seager picks it up. Throws out Byrd, 2 out.
Dodgers and Corey had him played perfectly right there in that 6 hole. A couple of cutters inside. Marlon Byrd rolls over the second one.
Jansen 2/3 of an inning last night, a run and 2 hits and 19 pitches. That was a non-save situation, and this most assuredly is. Piazza had the walk-off sac fly in the 12th inning on Monday night. That kept the Giants' season alive for one more game. 2 out, bottom of the ninth. Brett Anderson is an out away from his 10th win of the year. Piazza pops it up, and this should do it. In comes Peterson. He is there. He's under it. He's got it. The Dodgers hang on and beat the Giants 3-2. So with 159 games in, 3 to go, the Dodgers at 89 and 70 have the identical record as the New York Mets. Home field advantage at stake this weekend. The Dodgers home against the Padres. The Mets will entertain Washington. So the Dodgers win it 3-2. 3 runs, 6 hits, 1 error. San Francisco 2 runs, 5 hits, and no errors. Brett Anderson wins his 10th game of the year, and he is the Lexus player of the game. A terrific outing. 1 run and 4 hits. He struck out 3, did not walk anybody. 92 pitches, 66 for strikes. The Dodgers head home. Their final regular season road game has just been completed. So that's a wrap for us.